So this movie marks the first on-screen pairing of Robert De Niro and John Travolta. And that's all this movie has going for it. Killing Season is directed by Mark Steven Johnson, the man who brought us Daredevil, Ghost Rider, and When in Rome. Somehow he was given a project starring John Travolta and Robert De Niro. Now apparently the screenplay for this movie was on what's called a blacklist. And what that means, if you don't know, is that it's a screenplay that's on a list of very well-regarded screenplays that haven't been produced yet. And now it has been made, so we get to see it. This movie's about Robert De Niro. He's a war veteran. He lives in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. He is very estranged from his family. He doesn't want to have anything to do with really anyone. He's pretty much a broken man because of what happened to him in the war. John Travolta plays a Serbian. Let me just let that sink in. John Travolta plays a Serbian with the greatest beard ever and very shiny hair, very beautiful shiny hair. That's clearly actual hair. And he has a bit of a grudge against Robert De Niro, so he tracks him down in the woods and somehow befriends him and gets him to invite him into his cabin, and then he triggers a war between himself and Robert De Niro, and they face off against each other in the woods. Now honestly, one of the coolest things about this movie is the concept. The idea of Robert De Niro and John Travolta in the middle of nowhere waging a one-man war against each other. That's pretty cool. They have to survive. They have to use what they can find. They have to figure out ways to defeat the other person without a lot of technology or weaponry. That is a great concept. This movie has no idea how good of a concept it has. This movie has no idea the talent that the two stars in it have, because everything about this movie is pretty much awful. I mean, this movie really, honestly, is horrendous. Killing Season from the beginning is boring, bland, and uninteresting for like the first 30 minutes of the movie. And once things actually start happening where you see these two guys start to fight and you're like, okay, let's get into it, it's just so poorly done. It really is. The direction is so boring and uninteresting, and random shaky cam shots to mask the fact that these are two stuntmen actually doing all the work. It's just really poorly made. And I'm not even talking about the screenplay or the performances yet. This screenplay tries to take these characters in very religious directions. It tries to take them in odd, pretentious, over artsy meetings that really don't have anything to do with the fact that, look, this is a movie about two guys fighting in the woods. This should be like Predator. And believe it or not, one of the early drafts of this movie was going to be directed by John McTiernan, the guy who made Predator. That did not happen, unfortunately. Instead of all of the awesome drama and suspense that could be made from this movie, we get odd sequences where the men take turns torturing each other in overly graphic ways that just feels like it's completely unnecessary. Let's talk about the historical aspect of this film. They just butcher anything that actually happened with the war that they continuously discuss. And I'm not going to say that it's like the biggest flaw of this movie. That's just really annoying when they try to be so serious and they change history, because Inglourious Basterds definitely changed history. But that film understood what it was doing, and it was very tongue-in-cheek and funny. This film is trying to be super serious, and it keeps changing all the events of history like it doesn't even matter. It's really dumb, okay? Let's talk a little bit about the performances. Now, Robert De Niro in this movie, I'll give it to him, he doesn't really have anything to do, okay? There's nothing really in this script or in this film that gives him that meat that he needs. But honestly, he must have sat there and read the script and thought, I like this, let's do it. And something along the way changed. Something messed up. Something, or he just honestly did not care when he got this script, because the scenes that should be intense don't feel intense because of the way the film's directed. The scenes that should be more suspenseful don't feel that way at all because of the construction of this movie. John Travolta, however, who I really like, is the most distracting villain I've seen in years. He's got the most horrendous accent in this movie. It's laughable. And that beard, man, oh my word. I mean, this is Battlefield Earth performance. What the hell? This movie could have had so many things going for it, but it just squandered it all for this really stupid, boring, overly pretentious, artsy, and mainstream film in the worst ways. There's this horrendous scene where Robert De Niro is lying in a church, okay? And he just got really badly injured, and he looks up at the cross, and through the wall, the crack of the wall, a light beam shines down on him from the sun, and the music is like, ah. I was just sitting there like, you've got to be kidding me right now. This is Can you believe that? Killing Season had no idea what it was doing. everything about this movie pretty much sucked. I'm going to give Killing Season a D-, simply because of the fact that I was interested in seeing how it turned out. I didn't want to stop watching the movie because I at least wanted to see what the outcome would be. I can't flat out give it an F. But this movie sucks some royal crap. It really is bad. So guys, have you seen this movie yet? I don't recommend. Don't see it. No. But if you have, what did you think of the film? As always, guys, if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.